Welcome back. You're watching AM. Send your feedback in. feedback@amshow.co.nz. 21 after 7 now. A landmark ruling in the Supreme Court has helped to clear the way for 16 and 17-year-olds to potentially be able to vote. The decision comes after 3 years of campaigning and legal challenges led by a youth organisation, Make It 16. The Prime Minister says the government will start drafting legislation to enact the change, but whether it passes in Parliament or not is another matter. It's not looking good. Jacinda Ardern, just for the record, says she's keen on making it 16. Make It 16 co-founder Caden Tippler is with us this morning, and former youth MP, in fact they're both former youth MPs, James Broome-Isa is here as well. Good morning and good morning.
Good morning.
Kia ora, thank you for having us.
Great to have you guys on the show, and great to have you caring so much about what the direction our country is going in. Caden, can I start with you? What does this decision mean for you and your group?
Look, I mean, this decision is hugely significant for our group. I mean, we've always known that it was a human rights violation, but obviously it's massive to now have the legal backing for that as well.
Because you guys are both 17, eh, James? Both of you are 17. So, James, you don't think that 16 and 17-year-olds, so you don't think you should be able to vote?
No, I don't, because basically it's robbing our childhood. Because what we need to be careful we end up with this, because we run the risk of turning this into a sort of neo-Victorian era where we're pounding the responsibility onto some really young children.
So you think you're not responsible enough to vote?
Well, I'm not saying that we're not responsible, but I'm saying that we continue to develop. I held views at the age of 16 that I don't currently hold today, and it's likely as I almost turn 18 that I will hold views when I'm 18 that perhaps I don't hold today.
Does that make the views when you were 16 any less relevant? Do you know what I mean? Because I guess my question for you, Caden, is why are you potentially discriminating against 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds? Why not make it 12?
Well, the basis of our court case being 16 is because the Bill of Rights Act protects anyone aged 16 or over from age discrimination, and the Bill of Rights Act doesn't protect anyone younger from age discrimination, so that's the legal backing. But also 16 makes the most sense to be the voting age. I mean, there's no perfect age to begin voting, but at 16, you can consent to sex and you can give medical consent. You can learn to drive, you can drop out of school and work part-time and full-time jobs. That's taxation without representation. And I don't think the views of 16 and 17-year-olds are any less valid than the views of anyone of any older age.
Does that mean that could we go the other way and actually just make it 18 to have sex and to drive and all of those other things?
Well, I mean, I think we've already decided as a society that 16 is an appropriate age for those actions. I mean, just because the voting age is 18 doesn't mean we lowered the gambling age per se. Like, the gambling age is still 21. So I think we have all these different ages where different rights and responsibilities are appropriate, and 16 is the most appropriate age for a voting age.
James, it's quite a convincing argument, isn't it?
Well, at the same time, like I said, we run the risk of bringing things back 2 years. What was 20, which is the legal age of full adulthood, could become 18. What was 18 becomes the new 16. And dare I say it, what was 16 becomes the new 14. I mean, who's to stop 14-year-olds going to the Supreme Court for the right to marry with parental consent, like you can at the age of 16?
Well, the Supreme Court hasn't judged that we should be able to get married at 14. They've judged that we should be able to vote at 16. So I think that's what the case is about today. And, voting won't take away young people's childhoods. Climate change, COVID-19, education, the health system, all these things are what's ruining young people's childhoods. And regardless of whether or not we can vote, these things will still happen. So it just makes sense that we can have a say on the direction of the country.
So what you're saying is that you deserve the right to vote, but you're also not responsible enough to have the other views of adults, such as the right to drink, smoke, vape, etc.
Yeah, because as I say, I mean, different ages are appropriate for different things. And, drinking and smoking, I think that's appropriate at 18. But I don't think smoking and drinking is a requirement for being able to vote.
Guys, can I just say how great it is to watch you going at it like this? Because you're both very articulate and you both have very, very good points. And maybe this is proving the point, and I didn't think I would say this, but maybe this is proving the point that you guys should be able to vote. I mean, the reality is it's not going to happen, right? Because you've had National come out and you've had ACT come out and say that they're not going to support it, and we need that. But for local elections, Labor could do this tomorrow. Do you think they will, Caden?
I mean, overseas, we've seen lowering the voting age for local elections paved the way for lowering the voting age in general elections, because we've lowered the voting age for local elections, or like in the case of Scotland for a referendum, and people have seen how much of a successful policy it is, and that has led to the voting age being lowered for all elections, because even people on the right see how great of a policy it is. So absolutely I can see something similar to that happening here. I mean, the Prime Minister has already expressed her support of lowering the voting age, and we know of many other Labour MPs who also personally support it.
So crucially, do you think if she has been on record now saying, I support lowering the age, and she can change the law for local elections, I mean, you've got to put your money where your mouth is, don't you?
I mean, absolutely. The Prime Minister has said that climate change is her generation's nuclear-free moment. She says she cares about child poverty. If she cares about the rights of rangatahi, I mean, the court has said that this is a human rights violation.
Yeah, well,
and the Prime Minister will lower the voting age.
All right, and very quickly, James, from you before you go, what would you do with those Ram Raiders?
I think I'm entirely up for the boot camps, for some more responsibility with the parents, because the fact is that, like Mr. Luxon said, you had these children, you've got to take responsibility. And look, I mean, I get up at 6 o'clock and go to school by 7 o'clock. It's achievable.
All right, thank you both so much. Make It 16 co-founder Caden Tippler, former youth MP James Broome-Isa with us. It is 27 minutes after 7 o'clock.